lot of...
Doesn't it feel funny, though, not to talk to anybody because nobody's here yet? Because they don't know.
Yeah, it does kind of feel that way, but at the same time...
I feel weird talking to myself when I go live sometimes.
Well, you're always talking to yourself. You know, like when I ask you something, you're like, I was talking to myself. It's like...
Usually when I'm talking to myself, I'm beating myself up, though. Usually when I'm talking to myself, I'm like... If I do something that's completely messed up and I'm talking to myself, I usually am bitching myself out.
Does it have to do with me?
No. Well, I mean, there's probably... You're involved somehow, I'm sure.
Always. Yeah. Hi! Well, we just thought we'd come pop on, say hello. We're in that spirit, we're in that soul, we're in that connection. And we thought we'd just come on here and say hi.
See if we can answer some of your questions. Because
Yeah.
we've had quite a few. An email, and I can't keep my hair out of my eyes. It's driving me nuts. See that one piece? It's
You're
driving me.
so beautiful, though. Do you know how many people feel you're beautiful?
It's like that, what we teach all the time when you see a picture and there's multiple people in it, but your eyes automatically go to you and your flaws and everything that's wrong with you. Everybody else looks great. Somebody could be going, they still look great.
So you mean like where you take your own judgment and judge yourself and nobody knows you're doing that?
Yeah.
Oh.
So a lot of times when I'm talking to myself, I'm saying really mean things to myself. Like, you should know better, that was a dumb move, or you stupid ass.
Oh, God. What? Why?
Well, because, I mean, if I'd done something that I know better, you know what I mean? Like, I knew better than to lift that because they told me not to, and now it hurts.
Right.
You know, well, you dumbass. They told you not to do it,
right.
but you did it anyway. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's usually what I'm saying. I'm really saying, like, you dumbass.
Right.
But I would never say that to, like, you. Well, wait.
Starseed said you are.
Wait a minute.
Tavera, she's beautiful.
Oh.
Kay is smiling. Start Q&A here. Yeah, so, I mean, we figured we'd just come on here and just, we only get a few minutes. We don't have very long. So if you have something you're really struggling with.
Yeah, you've got a session
and
at
you were
what time?
looking
How long?
at 8 o'clock.
Okay, we got a little.
But if you realize if you're sitting there and you're like struggling and all of a sudden Lee and Sherry popped in, I would tell you we're on here because we felt you. And now you may not realize it, but we're probably going to ask something or say something in this video that's going to make you ask a question inside, and that will be the answer you were looking for. Because
there it is.
That's how you stumble onto this channel.
It just happens.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Oh, hi, Ann. We love you too. Hello from Australia. Had been feeling you guys would be on. See, Ann, did you have a question for us? Because you put, I love your hair, Sherry. So you must have something you wanted to ask.
My hair, I think I straightened it too straight. It has no body now. It's fine. Thank you. I really was thinking the other day about getting rid of the blue. I really thought about it. I thought, you know what? Let's get rid of this blue. Maybe go brown. And then I thought, man, can you imagine?
It's kind of a signature thing now.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can think about it.
Kind of a thing.
If you didn't do the blue hair, would you have gotten through that transplant?
Probably not.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, it wasn't my hair color, but
it just proved to me that Superman is real, and you're
yeah,
my superwoman.
Let me take your opinions. How about that?
Okay.
Should I keep the blue or get rid of the blue? I want to know.
Yeah. Was it challenging to co-parent with your previous partners?
Oh, look, what a neat question. So this
We're
person,
seeing that a lot.
This person, who asked that?
A Starseed.
Starseed has clearly not seen all of our videos.
Maybe.
Because
keep the blue and add more blue.
Like it. What about keeping the blue and adding a little black streaks? I was thinking about some black streaks. Anyway, so I want to get to this question. So, is co-parenting difficult? Absolutely not. When you're in the right situation. Lee and Ron, my son's father, happens to be best friends only because of our connection. Right? And yeah, I mean, Lee and I met, well, we didn't meet when he was 2. We met way before he was born, but he had things going on. So,
I mean, I told you.
I mean, he had things happening in his life. Like, he was doing things that he... Do I need to keep going? But anyway, I didn't have time for that mess, so I went on with my life. And had a baby, got married, and had a baby. I was not the standstiller. I did not stand still and wait for him to get his act together. I just didn't do it. And neither should you. And if you want to talk to more of me about it personally, how I got through his player phase before we got married, then I'll be more than happy to help you out. Get a hold of me. Book a session with me. I got you. Hi, Mike. But look, it kind of depends on the situation and the relationship you have with your ex, right? We have a very spiritual connection, and when somebody walks in the room, it doesn't matter where we're at, they feel that. So, you know, when me and Ron were basically separated, and Lee and I started seeing each other. Well, we were screwing around.
Yeah.
When we were doing that, finally when Ron met Lee, he accepted it because you couldn't not. It was the connection that he felt, not the fact that
I think
he asked why we weren't together.
Right, but what was important there was that, you know, we run into people who are like, well, they're with somebody.
Right.
That has nothing to do with connection.
Right.
Nothing. What it does have something to do with is connection. So what happens, and I believe what happened and what made ours so beautiful, is that pretty much everything that you believe will happen, and you know, will happen if the person, let's say you're with somebody and you know you're connected to somebody else. If that connection shows up, why are you doubting that it's not going to heal something for everybody? I think that's the big aha out of all of it, was Ron believed in connection, but he had never seen connection or never been in a space where connection was. And even my brother said it. My brother's like, this is different. This is not what people have.
Right.
Ron said pretty much felt the same thing. And even anybody who doesn't want connection finds it very hard to be around us.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to be around us. And to
if
the
you
point
don't want
where,
connection.
To the point where sometimes we'll hang out with people for a long period of time, and our connection gets too intense, and they completely turn the opposite direction.
Yep.
Excuse me, which recently just happened, where we were attacked pretty brutally by a former friend, and it became pretty racist and ugly, and I'm not. It just is that intense that at first people don't believe that this connection happens, and it's all day, every day, right? Oh, they're just putting on a show for us. When the more that they're with us, they realize that we have a connection that's beyond anything that anybody has ever seen. And, you know, it turns into, well, I want that. And if I can't have it, I don't want them to have it.
Mm.
And that's kind of an extreme case, but a lot of times people will leave the room.
If you're lying to yourself
Yeah.
about what you believe, it's hard to be next to us.
Right.
And I get that. I mean, but we were like that, and now we just don't have space for that
Right.
in the connection. So even when it tries to penetrate the connection always wins.
Right.
So this is here to challenge everything you've ever believed.
Right.
So that's how you know you're in it. It doesn't even need the labeling. It needs for you to realize that you can have connection.
Right.
It's hard to believe somebody will want to be connected to you. I mean, look, if you have not watched our journey, it was hard. What we were going through then is we didn't believe that this person was going to, like, I kept saying to myself, there's no way. There's no way she would ever want to be with me. And her, and what were you saying?
there's no way he would ever want to be with me.
So we're choosing other people because we're believing that. And the more energy we gave to that, the stronger the connection became.
Right.
And the suffering started,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we didn't want to believe that we could have connection when everything that had happened to us the way it did.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe that you can have this connection. It is not easy.
Right.
It is no fun. Well, it is. It has its
It has
points.
its moments.
And it has its blissful moments and it has its painful moments. But when you realize you have to have the pain with the bliss, I don't think a lot of people get that. You can't just have a positive life. Sorry. You're never going to learn what's positive without the negative. We're proof.
I pretty much feel that we have dealt with pretty much every scenario you could possibly think of in one way, shape, or form. I really do. I don't think that there has been brought to us something that is new. Where we're like, well, I've never heard that before. I think that's
even at this point, we know what it's like to lose the connection.
right.
I mean, with what we went through, it felt like loss.
It felt like loss.
But there was this energy that just, in the connection, that always remained.
The energy stayed, but the mind
No.
went away.
Right.
Right? When I was sick and the ammonia was going to my brain, I didn't even know what connection was, barely knew who he was half the time. So when there's one person in the connection who's disconnected, right?
Mm-hmm.
In one way, shape, or form, it's a lot harder for the other person to uphold the.
I could hear the stories in my head. I could hear the stories in my head of, yeah, maybe this wasn't meant to be. Maybe you're supposed to be with her at a different life or different. I heard all that. But at the same time I went, no, that's bullshit. I'm going to have it now. And I didn't give up now. And the more I didn't give it up, the more vulnerable I had to be to have it.
Yeah.
Because even though I believed so deeply in this connection, I had to let go of all the disbelief and all of the loss. I had to let it go. I didn't really get to tell myself what that was. I could hear the stories, but I knew that if I gave them energy, it would have to be right. I didn't want to be right. I wanted to be connected. I mean, that's kind of how that goes.
As long as you don't look up, your Google eyes aren't there, but look up just for a second and show everybody.
Oh,
It's so cute.
God, I look so cute. I got extra. Yes, I'm from another dimension.
I love
Just
it.
kidding. Let's see. Let's see. Keep the blue and add more blue.
Go.
Good evening from Portugal. Hi, Portugal. Joanna. I was thinking about the strong energy I feel with my TF. Sometimes it's so intense it makes me stop in my tracks. Is it stopping you, or is it showing you that you're running? So keep the blue. We love you regardless, though. Stay blue, just blue. Wow. Good night from Croatia. Okay, good night,
Night.
Croatia. It's time to sleep for me. Hello, Lee and Sherry, and all the rest of you beautiful
Isn't it the same time
souls.
here that it is in Croatia?
No.
What is it, like 1 or 2 in the morning there?
I think it's the
I
next
don't know.
day.
The
This is the
next
first
day.
time I popped into a live with Sherry in it, and wow, do I ever feel that energy. Aw, Mystic Wolf, wonderful. Did you ever think you were nuts and say you're imagining the depth of the... Psh, did we ever say that?
He called me a witch.
And she said I was batshit crazy.
Well, you are.
For a long
Not
time.
witch.
I was batshit.
He really
I
was.
believed...
He really was.
I believe that she had some kind of spell on me, that she was into hocus pocus. I was afraid of Captain Crunch, and Count Chocula. I'm just kidding. It was like, okay,
Do you think I was
is
going
this?
to poison you through cereal?
I didn't know what this was. I just knew that I could not get her out of my system. And it was like, the more I tried to get her out of my system, the more it seemed like she was being grounded in it. You know, it's kind of like if you decided you didn't want the parents you have to be your parents. You don't get to decide connection. You don't get to decide who you're connected to. You already decided. Now you can't go back and try to back out on it. So you have to go, you know, it's kind of like this connection's like showing you the river of your life. and where it turned and where it kept going and where it got blocked and when it decided to go a different path, that you're already on it. You're trying to go, I want to change the path of the current. It doesn't work. It's the word. Let me swim upstream. I'm going to change this somehow. Yeah, I give up on that. Did you ever think you were nuts? Yeah, we both thought that.
We're still kind of nuts. But there's been multiple times I thought, this guy is nuts. He's batshit crazy for sticking around for this. Especially when I was sick and he was changing my IVs and cleaning up my puke and blood and changing out my drain bags and all this vulnerable stuff. I thought, this guy, and that was just last year. So this year, last year.
And the year before.
And thinking, man, this guy's crazy. What the hell's wrong with him?
You have to remember we're one life.
Yeah.
So if you would have had the energy, I just stepped in and the energy you already had, it traveled into me because your body had surrendered. So everything I did, whether it was holding your hair back while you're throwing up, taking the bag and disposing of it, doing your IV, paying attention whether you were in your head or not, or if your ammonia levels were high, looking in your eyes and not seeing you in there. I just didn't give up.
Right.
And
which made me not give up.
What's interesting I started getting an influx of people in this connection who were giving up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was right on time. Mm-hmm. It was like, no, you don't get to give up on connection. I'm in it. And I realized that you will be pushed, even when you're in the connection, you'll still be pushed to give up connection. Mm-hmm. So no, and I would tell you, there's a whole bunch. You can love more than you've ever told yourself you can. You just don't know it yet.
Right.
Maybe that's what's got to hit you before you're going to realize that. And can you have love without this connection? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
You can have a connection and not have love.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. You can have a connection and not be physically together. Please let me say that again. You can have a connection and not be physically together. One more time. You can have a connection and not be physically together. You can have a connection and not ever be physically together. It's all in how you handle the connection, or you know how to navigate through the connection. And you got to learn how to allow the connection to be the guide, not your mind, but the connection. Because your mind will take you to 24 different places.
Yeah.
And the connection will just be.
And I think that's where you're going to be able to see how much you have been stuck in the fear of rejection when it comes to this connection. And you have to choose. You're either going to choose fear of rejection and reject everybody, or you're going to choose connection and start rejecting fear of rejection.
Right.
Because you're not going to get rid of rejection by accepting it. You're going to get rid of rejection by rejecting it. It's the same thing as accepting it. You just have to know that rejection wasn't meant for you. But you keep believing that it was, so you need to choose that before you'll choose the connection. I've been watching you on and off for several years, unsure what to make of the term twin flame, or the fact twin flame was aimed to be thwarted the last few years. So it is nice to see Sherry and Lee stronger than ever. Delight and winning, and I look forward to all the unions in 2023. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much for your insight.
I have some advice for that person.
Oh,
how about
for the colorful foresight?
How about you just lose the name twin flame altogether?
No.
So if you're not sure what to think about twin flames, how about you just remove those words from your vocabulary and start to understand and learn more about connection. Because really,
That's what it comes down to.
Twin flame is just a label that a human has put on connection. And it really is just a name. I mean, soda's named Coca-Cola and Pepsi, but we don't walk around, you know what I mean? It just...
Both are dark shit that's bad for you.
It's, yeah. It has... And the fact of the matter is it's soda. You know what I mean? If it's Mountain Dew, Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, it's soda. It's sugar water, right? Sugar syrupy water, and it's soda. It's connection. It's Twin Flame is a novelty name.
Mm. The name itself points to a deeper question, and the deeper question is, do you believe that somebody wants to be connected to your feelings? That's all it's doing. Because if you really look at it, when did you ever let yourself believe that somebody wanted to be connected? Will you let somebody? But would you ever allow somebody?
Right.
And this connection comes along, and it's going, oh yeah, what do you believe about connection? And it's showing you. It's showing you your truth. And you're mad at them for giving you what you believe. It's painful as shit. But we get it. Thank you so much for your insight. Lee and Sherry, Sharon, hi. Sharon, Andrea. Much love to you guys. Health, wealth, connection.
I see her.
Huh?
Is that the one I see on TikTok all the time?
You probably do.
No,
Are you on TikTok,
no,
Sharon?
I don't. Maybe it's not her. Oh.
Rosie, hi.
I know. I see.
I've never been in a live. Welcome to our
Sharon,
live.
I saw you somewhere the other day. I don't know where it was. Maybe I don't know.
Did she show up in your dreams?
I don't know. Maybe it was social media. I don't know.
Okay. Watching you from Israel, wanted to ask you, did you ever feel that your feelings to your twin become numb after you released the expectations and sent it to God? Well, it's a tough question for me because I didn't believe in God.
Well, we don't believe in a
human
form.
I didn't believe. I didn't believe in what her beliefs were and what my beliefs were didn't match. We didn't have the same beliefs. She came from that Christian space. I came from a pastor that was sleeping with my mom's space. So I couldn't believe in shit like that.
Well, no, I didn't. Where I came from was trying this religion out and really learning that my opinion of it is different. But the belief system that I have in me is not a human man with a white coat and a rod and a big chair that's up in a place where there are mansions and streets of gold and things like that, or there's a lake of fire and a man with a pitchfork. I don't believe in those things. I do believe in a higher spiritual power or a source or an energy. It's an energy. It's very much an energy, spiritual energy. So when I hand things over to such a spiritual energy, I need the first part of the question. It's escaping me.
To ask you, did you ever feel that your feelings to your twin become numb after you released the expectations and sent it to God?
No, I've never felt numb with the connection, except obviously when I was sick, I didn't know. Or I couldn't feel anything on the spiritual level, if that makes sense, when I was sick. But I'm not sick, so I'm thinking back and thinking, nah, I don't think I ever was numb to it. I tried to deny it. I tried to make it numb at times. I really did, but it was never successful.
I'm gonna. That's like I said. We have to put both things together. Right. God to me is not one; it's two. So, when I was praying to God for the connection and for what she needed, it wasn't like I was praying to one, because that would make the second obsolete. I wanted to pray to two. So my belief is that both energies aren't one, but are connected to create one, but come from two.
You're speaking of masculine and feminine energy?
And positive and negative.
Okay.
So both, and the positive negative designs of both.
Right.
So that's really four, but I just want to stick with two right now because there are two energies.
Right.
I don't believe that one energy said, yeah, I can separate myself. No, I believe that two energies came and separated everything and they all came together.
Right.
So everything is in connection. God is connection. God would be two, not one. And that's why we keep experiencing this God-like connection. Because that's what it's like. It's like, I'm not saying we're gods, I'm just saying that there's an energy that is between us that keeps us staying connected, that keeps saving each other, and keeps bringing each other deeper and deeper in connection. So I don't know that I can see it as the way that most people see one or say he. And I can't classify it that way. I'll never let myself do that because the connection says not to.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mhm, that makes
If I believe that there was one above in connection, then I'm putting something above in connection. I can't do that because connection said it's all equal. It's all connection, but there's two, not one.
Okay. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
And both are both equal parts. If you make one higher than the other, you keep running into higher than the other.
Okay, but to answer his question, have you ever felt numb once you? Multiple times personally, I've said, you know what? I give this back to you. I don't want it. I don't need it. I give this back to the universe. I can't. And then I woke up the next morning there.
Yeah, I went to the numb space, but I was forcing the numb space, and the pain that followed it was what came. So if you can make yourself numb, be ready for the pain because it's not that far away. You can numb yourself from it for a little bit.
Trying to know it'll throw you into a dark night of the soul in 2.2
Absolutely,
seconds.
and that's how I got used to having a dark night of the soul because I knew how to go to my numb space.
Oh.
I mean, what else are you supposed to do? I seem to oscillate between releasing expectations to ruminating about expectations. How do you balance that energy?
Man, expectations were a big part of my life. Honestly, you expect things that you don't really know that you expect, right? There's so many things that I had expectations of. And I hate going back to this scenario, but it was such a life-changing event that I can't not. But I had expectations that, gosh, if I was in hospice care and dying, my family would be surrounding me with support. And that was not the case. That was not the case.
All of you were.
All of you were, for sure. But my immediate family, my siblings, 2 of my children, was never around at all. And I had expectations, and my expectations weren't met. They let me down. I had expectations on Lee, a lot of them, right? When we first got together, a lot of expectations. I had expectations on everybody, but I had bigger expectations for myself, right? When those expectations weren't met, I would get upset, sad, cry, right? Throw a fit, whatever. It took a long process to realize, in a life-altering situation, right, facing death, to realize that, hey, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I need to release all this expectation that I've had surrounding everything. You know what I mean? I had expectations that my dog wouldn't leave the yard when his collar didn't have a battery. Hello, right? Dogs across the street. Letting go of those expectations was the best thing I ever did. I know when my dog's collar the battery goes out, she'll go across the street. Right?
But the
She'll
other
go
side
over there.
But the other side of that is expectations have worked for you.
What do you mean?
Oh, you want me to throw that out there? Can I? Are you sure?
Yeah.
You expected me not to change.
I also expected you to walk away when I got sick.
But you didn't.
I did
back
not
in the
expect
day,
you to change.
you expected me not to change, and I destroyed an expectation you didn't expect to have.
That is definitely true. That is definitely true.
Consistently in this connection,
I did not expect you to change.
I mess up your expectations.
You did.
But I'm an anomaly at the same time.
You are an anomaly. But releasing so much expectation that you have is key. Expectations are actually, what is it you say? False something? I don't know. It's a false reality.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
it's a false reality that goes on in your head.
You expect to be rejected. You already rejected you by giving that power.
Yeah.
But you gave it power. Now you're in the rejection phase, saying you're going to reject me, so you reject them first.
Reject them
and
first.
you're mad at them for something they didn't even do yet.
Right.
But what the yet part is that you did it to you, and you blame them for it.
Right.
And we're constantly doing that.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know if we answered that question or not because we rambled.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So, blah, 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 blah.
We're good at
Oh,
that.
hello, Lee and Sherry, Mara. Okay, gotcha. Kay, it's about being in a space of knowing to this connection. There is no rejection. Connection equates to truth. Oh, hi, Tiffany. She waved and smiled. But being physically together feels like heaven. Then when he physically leaves, I have a challenging time releasing the desire to be in his physical space again. Haven't felt this in a while.
I used to feel that when Lee would come and stay with me for a couple days, and he would carry this backpack with him, and it had some clothes in it, whatever. And when he would start to go into the bedroom to pack up his backpack, it was brutal for me.
Why?
Because I wanted to be in your presence all the time. And the fact that you didn't want to be in my presence, this was the thing, that you didn't want to be in my presence and that you were packing a bag to go someplace else, right? It was physically grueling.
But that's not how I felt. I felt like you were staying with me. You were with me all the time.
Mm-hmm, right.
So
But I'm talking about in a physical sense.
I'm talking about that too. I felt like when you kissed me, you kissed me. I felt like when you held me, you held me. So it wasn't that I was getting up and leaving that.
Right.
It was that was staying with me and was allowing me to feel connected to.
Mm-hmm.
What you were looking for is what happened to you. What I was doing was completely opposite of that. I knew that your love was staying with me, even because I knew what it was like to be without you.
Mm-hmm.
So to even have those moments with you, I cherished them. You were regretting them because you always thought I was going to leave.
Well, yeah, and like this person was saying, in between those times, even though we were talking, I almost dreaded the fact that you were coming back. I didn't dread the fact that you were coming back to be with me. I dreaded the fact that once you got there and that backpack was settled, that eventually it was going to be repacked and you were going to be going again. So I was like, should I put it off having him come over? Should I just have him wait another weekend, or what should I do? Because I didn't want to feel that pain again.
Well,
That's why when you had your surgery, I was so excited that you were going to stay for a long period of time.
So did you feel like it's like what you were saying is you couldn't have heaven because you could only have a piece of it?
Well, back then, that's what I was thinking.
But-
Back then, I was thinking you were coming and going, and even though we were in contact in between those times,
Is that why you wouldn't answer your phone sometimes?
no, I wouldn't answer my phone because it was lost in my car, or lost in the bedroom, or lost in the couch because I was
That's not what I would tell myself.
ugh. Two
That's
teenage girls, and an adolescent girl, and a 2-year-old child, and he wants me to answer the phone all
Yes.
the time. Truth be known, look, I couldn't find my phone half the time because I was too busy trying to keep peace in my home. It was horrible. So yeah, he would get frustrated with me because I wouldn't answer the phone. The fact of the matter is, it was down in the car cushion, in between it was a mess. It was a mess.
Do you feel like well, this is interesting because you were just talking about this earlier. If you do so much for somebody you're connected to, do they feel your actual love?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, remember you were saying, I overdid it. I probably shouldn't have done this and I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because look at what's happened now. It's like they can step away and come back. They can step away and come back because they know that I'm going to bend over backwards. And now I'm not that way.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not
But
that way now.
Did you also say to yourself, no, true connection would stay?
No.
And you don't have to be. You don't
Right.
have to be what they want you
Yeah.
to be to have connection, right?
Right. I didn't trust that when you were not with me, that you were even thinking about me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I could feel you. I didn't.
Right.
I wasn't in my head
And
about
back then we didn't even know what connection was, or
We were
twin
learning.
flames,
We
or
were
any of that.
We were learning whatever this was, had a lot to do with our
Like,
feelings, but not our thoughts.
We learned so much about connection just by being connected and not listening to so much that's
and not
out
reading,
there.
and not reading,
And not reading
and not
everything.
following what other people were going through.
Yeah.
I believe that was our saving grace.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that you can find will direct you away from the connection or tell you to give up the connection or put you in a position where you actually have, it's like they found separateness and made it humanized in this connection. They have found a way to make us be masculine and feminine against each other, just like it is on this fucking planet. And it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And you
It's
know
like,
what?
Oh, the
You'll
masculine
hear-
is waiting for the feminine. And it's like, stop it.
Or you know
Stop.
what you can do? You can just cut the cord and you can go on your separate way.
Yeah, because that worked for you being disconnected from your own mother and then saying, no, I'm not from her. You ruin one belief system. You can't remove a belief system you were born with.
Please stop.
So when somebody tells you,
Stop
I can
trying
cut
to
that out of you,
cut
they're
cords.
got to cut out the fact that the person who actually gave birth to you isn't the person you're connected to anymore. Isn't that something? They can actually do that. They can brainwash you into believing that you can think your way out of this connection. No.
Here, I'll do a cord cutting ceremony for you, and
Okay.
it'll be fine.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
We're not putting down that.
We're not.
But
I just
we get it. We get why you would want to
why
do that.
you would want to, for sure.
Because we felt like that. I don't want this. You remember those days of not wanting this connection?
Cord cutting worked. I would have
We-
done it 17
We
times.
probably would have tried it 25 million
I
times.
know.
We tried everything else to sabotage this connection. And here's the thing that this connection, and it was interesting because that's why I was kind of paused on that connection and truth.
That's just a false twin flame.
You can't have,
Okay.
you can't have connection without the truth.
Right?
So if you're saying to yourself right now, the person I know that I have this connection with knows the truth about what I think of myself and how I feel about myself, then if you're hiding that, don't worry. They're going to hide from you because you're hiding that from you. You almost have to see what you're doing to yourself to understand why they're doing it to you.
Right.
And it took us, and we still find ways. I mean, we're still deep in it. And it seems to be deeper every time. Like, we went through a knockdown, drag out recently, not recently, but over a few months. And, we're still healing from what she's been through and healing what that was. But have you noticed that we've gotten closer?
Because we both decided that we didn't want to do that anymore.
It's like,
It's
what was that
like,
doing to the connection?
It's exhausting, and the connection still was there. We've only got 10 minutes before your session, so
Okay.
let's
All right, let's see. Oh, Sharon said, no, I'm not on TikTok. I live you in New York. I met you in New York, I think, and we have met twice. Remember
Yeah,
me? I'm
I
looking
do.
forward to when
I
you
remember.
visit New York again.
I think maybe it was a pictures I was going through, because I was going through pictures
Do we
of
have
our
you on
tours.
Facebook, Sharon? I think we have her on Facebook.
I think I might have, but
She said our groups on our Facebook.
yes, that's it. I was going through pictures and I saw her.
Oh.
I did see her,
Well,
and
we
Sheila.
must be connected to you. So. Oh yeah, she met Sheila there too, didn't she?
Yeah.
I've come to a place of surrender because I know what's meant for me won't pass by me. I've come into more self-love and confidence in self and myself. I'm putting myself out there again to date. Now see, that's self-love.
Yeah.
Self-love isn't isolation
Right.
and waiting for somebody. That's false. That's a false narrative, and that's an expectation that will be met. You're giving them permission to go be with the world, and you're isolating yourself. So you have to remember the yin and yang of this. That it has to have a balance. So they get to date everybody when you're dating nobody.
I yawn every time we do a video. It's crazy. I'm not sleepy.
Sharon said, your ex-husband, Sherry, has name Ron, is the same name for my connection. When we met in Long Island, we laughed about it, especially since we have a lot of children and grandchildren. I thank you guys so much for the reminders of connection. Thank you, Sharon.
Oh.
That's humbling for us to hear.
We are
Thank
coming
you.
back to New York, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, next year. So a couple times.
Actually, my profile is on TikTok. I just don't post anything. FB, Insta, and YouTube is enough for me. Thank you, Lee and Sherry, for answering these questions. Protecting your peace with family and friends can be a job. Well, you can also retire from that job. Because sometimes it's not your job to be connected to everybody. It is your job to let connection happen for you.
But you got to be connected to you
Yeah.
first. That's
Yeah.
a big thing, and
And
people don't get that.
That doesn't
a lot.
mean stop people.
No.
That means accept. You'll find an exception
Yeah.
space in there where you'll have peace in everything.
Right.
Yes, I did that last month, says Maura. Yes, Sherry, Libra's got their backpacks ready. Hey, wait a minute. Now, see, why are you laughing? That's not funny.
Oh, thank God
We ain't got a
that
bag.
phase is over.
I have one bag that's packed, but that's because we always travel.
Yeah.
Do you think that twin flames are the ones that bridge the 3D and 5D? I'm more 4D. I am more physical 3D, and he's all up in the clouds. We balance out and come up with new ways of being.
I believe connection is the bridge. Which, if you want to call it twin flames, that's great. We call it twin flames. I don't know. But it's the connection that is the bridge. It's the spiritual connection that bridges the dimensions.
Yeah, and I believe I see connection and disconnection as 3D and 5D. Or in other words, I say it this way. 3D and 5D is 5D is consciousness, 3D is unconsciousness. And the same thing for me is disconnect and connection. So we sit in connection, and it doesn't mean we don't have bouts and experiences of unconsciousness and disconnect. We're never come on here saying that. We're going to tell you it's always going to be there. But do you love that part of yourself? Because if you can't love your 3D, your disconnect, and your unconsciousness, who are you asking them to love in you?
Ooh, that's big.
Yes, I lowered my expectations in September to the point I shut down my emotions and a bit of numbing, and then felt the anger weeks later that I numb my feelings. I share a child with my TF. He runs from both of us. Our son is stuck in the middle of our triggers. We are in separation again, and it feels permanent. Any suggestions on how to navigate that?
Ooh,
Yes.
happened to us.
Make sure that you have a child between you. That child is understanding that connection will never exist. If you're saying that this person is the one you're connected to and you have a child out of that connection, and now you're saying that separation is occurring, the child is being separated. Pay attention to this because it's showing you your part in it. That's where you can heal. You can heal that, and you can actually come back in connection if you pay attention to that. Because the child and the child you have together is the child that you were when you created that child in connection. I know that was a lot to follow.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll need to rewind that 5 times.
I want to make sure that the child isn't the reason for trying to understand the connection.
Why are you in separation?
I'm curious as to why you're in separation, because I want you to be in connection with him. The child is there, right? And that the child isn't going anywhere. The child is going to flourish from the connection, whether he's there or not. It's how you handle being in connection without being physically together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can you be in the connection with him without him physically there with your child present?
And
Can your child understand and feel that connection?
And also kind of like what we experienced. You have a child and you still have wounds between both of you that you refuse to heal because of you being a child who had gotten wounded that way. That comes out a lot in this connection. So what we're saying there is, when you became parents to a child, how your parents wounded you is what's separating you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because we have seen and we have experienced just that. And if nothing else, do a 30-minute with this. We'll show you.
Yeah, that's
We'll
what I was
show
going to suggest. Do a 30-minute with us,
Yeah.
because we can help you in that connection bring the physical aspect back.
Yeah.
Right? And that's something that, for some reason, when we get to talk to you people that are in separation with your twin, like they come back. I don't know what it is about our energy that reconnects twins, but it happens. And if any of you have ever been in that situation where you've talked to us, we've kind of give you some advice, told you what to do, and the twin came back, and then we were like, stop, do not message him.
Then, no, everything's fine. And then you're back months later going, it's because you're in the cycle. You can't, we disrupt the cycle.
Right.
For that very reason, because we learned how to disrupt the cycle in our connection.
Right.
And come back together. You're not going to learn that from the other person. You need to learn how to do that for you first. You can still open communication, you can still talk to them, and you can still have the connection. The thing is, you need to stop looking for separation where there is none. In other words, you're told that separation is going to happen, so how many of you are in separation because you were told you had to? So, on that note...
You've got a session in 1 minute.
Yeah. You know, what I love about this moment is we got 44 people on 11 likes. Please like this and subscribe if you haven't.
Yeah, please subscribe and get a hold of us, because we'll do a free 30-minute session for you.
Yeah.
And we'll get you on the right track.
It's really good to be connected to yourself. Look, we're here to show you don't have to be afraid of connection. Be afraid of being disconnected inside of yourself. That is so important, you guys. And we're telling you, we cry for you guys because we get it. We get it. This isn't for everybody, but it is for everybody. Some are just so far disconnected and unconscious, they don't realize they're allowed to have it. So we love you.
Really hope we helped a little bit.
Yeah, just a little. If nothing else, watch it again because you might find something in there. Our connection has a way of doing that. And we're honored to be here. Don't forget to believe.
And have faith.
And have faith.
What? How did that happen?
I don't know. You just said, let's go shoot, let's go sing, let's go live. And it's quite interesting how that happens. We love you guys. We'll see you soon.